You're listening to the Modern Life Mystic Woman podcast, hosted by Jen Neville and Taiha Lee.
Modern Life Mystic Woman started as a conversation about writing, dreaming, dating, magic, God, tarot, astrology, and our mutual passion for consciously creating both spiritually fulfilling and totally luxurious lifestyles.
We're all about living in alignment, being tapped in AF, and going all in on ascension. We're committed to intuition, inspiration, and creation.
We are the bold and the spiritual, and we're moving cosmic mountains together.
Hey babes, we are back with another episode of Modern Life Mystic Woman. Today we are talking about synchronicity and serendipity. So this came from the inspiration of a comment that was left on our YouTube video, and if you don't already know, we do film these recordings and place them on YouTube. Currently we're doing it via Zoom, so if you want to see our faces, you can go subscribe to our YouTube and watch us, as well as listening on the podcast page. But we got a comment, somebody asking, on our twin flame episode, to kind of go more into the twin flames and maybe talk about what it looks like, or if it's like the movie Serendipity. And when I saw that comment, I was like, oh my gosh, that is one of my favorite movies. I was obsessed with it growing up.
Me too.
It's such a good movie.
And
I was like, we do have to make an episode talking about this. And it kind of ties in with like the whole synchronicity thing, I think. Taiha's going to share, for those of you that don't know what serendipity means.
Yeah, I'm going to share a quick little definition here. So serendipity, the occurrence and development of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way.
Yeah. And synchronicities are kind of the same thing, like just coincidental things, like
meaningful coincidences.
Meaningful coincidence. Yeah.
I
love that. And that's kind of how I see serendipity. Gosh, I just love that movie.
I'm such a John Cusack fan.
And Kate Beckinsale in it as well. I just love the whole theme of that movie. If anybody hasn't seen it, you have to go watch it. But basically it's like, so they meet at Serendipity, right? They meet at Serendipity in NYC.
Wait, is that like a cafe or something?
Oh wait, no, they meet at I think it's Macy's. They meet at Macy's.
Yeah, it's like a department store. They
meet at Macy's, they meet at the department store, and then they're like both buying the same glove or whatever. But then they go to so there's this cafe in New York. They have like this famous hot chocolate. It's called Serendipity. Like, it's so hard to get a table there, but I think they go and sit at this place called Serendipity, and she's kind of inspired by the fact that they're there, and they're talking about serendipity. They're talking about like chance and coincidence. So she basically writes her number in a book. Like, they buy a book he writes his name and number on a $5 bill. She writes hers on like a book. Like, they use the $5 bill to buy the book, or something along that nature. I have to like refresh my memory with it. But she says she'll talk to him if it's meant to be, then she'll find the $5 bill and he'll find the book, So the whole thing is like, they kind of leave it at that. And I think they go on and live their lives, but of course he always checks like every bookstore to look for that book. And I won't spoil the rest, but it's a great movie.
It's so good. It's definitely the best romantic comedy for sure.
Yeah, I love that movie. But I think it's like, so we kind of wanted to talk today about serendipity, synchronicities, because that's big in the whole twin flame community, is like synchronicities. in these connections that we have, and just being spiritually aligned. Like you see so many synchronicities, and for me synchronicities are like these little miracles from the universe. Like anytime I see it, I feel that I'm witnessing a miracle, or these little coincidences, these meaningful coincidences. They're like little miracles every day that are telling me like, good job, you're on the right track. Like these, and I really love experiencing those moments.
They just
So
make you feel so like alive and on purpose, and like there's something greater, you know, like there's
yeah,
something deeper going on, and you're connected. It makes you feel like you're connected to something.
I know. So I feel like we have to share like our own fun little serendipity or synchronicity moments. I've had so many, but I'd love to hear yours.
I mean, are we talking about love?
Yeah, and love.
Like
Let's talk in
serendipity and
love.
love.
Serendipity.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess I want to start off by just saying like, yeah, I think because the specific question that we got was around like, should it feel like that? Like, should there be kind
Yeah.
of these serendipitous moments? And I think like if you're a spiritual woman who's really tapped in and you're calling in, like whether your soulmate or your twin flame or just this person who's a mirror of you, and you're experiencing a lot of magic, then like they're going to as well, you know. Like I think it's not something that you have to like try for, but I think it's something you just almost have to expect, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I don't know how, like, yeah, I've definitely experienced like a lot of it, and some kind of really like telepathic connections of just,
Yeah.
you know, thinking of somebody and thinking of like this. Yeah, one thing happened a couple months ago where I was like talking to, you know, a love interest, and we'd connected over some music, and I was out, it was in the winter time, and I was like shoveling the path out to get my car out, and I was listening to some Tupac because we were like talking about Tupac, and yeah, I love hip hop, and I was like really like jamming out to the song, and I was thinking of this guy, and I just kept thinking like, I should send him this playlist. Like, I just really want to send him this playlist. I'm like, but that would be so weird. Like, what do you think, I'm weird? And then, no joke, like 10 minutes later, he texts me and it's like, hey, I'm looking for some music today. Like, do you have a good playlist you can send me? And just like stuff like that, I think.
Oh my goodness.
When you're really, again, this like quantum entanglement, I think.
Yeah, tapped in.
Yeah, and
but you think that you need to be like that? That means that person's really tapped into your energy too.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have had like similar dreams, no?
Yeah, that was with somebody else.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
But yeah, oh, I forgot. Yeah, that happened recently with like some dream stuff where this guy kind of had this dream about me, and then I didn't know about it or anything, and then like 2 weeks later I had like pretty much essentially the same dream, but I was in I was in the position that like he saw me in his dream, and then like he told me about this, and I was like, what? Like we literally had the same dream in like this different, I don't know, it's really crazy.
That is crazy. I feel like in regards to like but I love that, and I think I attract a lot of that into my life, of the like magic and the synchronicities and the serendipity, because I love those little clues. I look at them as like clues. But I have one connection in particular that, oh, not one in particular, I have a few that I'll like, things will pop up like that, but man, this one person, and that kind of ties it into, this person asked about twin flames, and this is something I'm still trying to figure out, because this was the person that I would have thought was my twin flame, just because of all the synchronicities surrounding this connection. But now that I look at it, maybe we were just quantumly entangled. Like maybe we were just constantly thinking of each other. I mean, this is like to the point where this person's been in my life forever, on and off. Like, and when I say forever, I mean like literally I've known them forever. Maybe multiple lifetimes. So it was interesting because there'd be these little synchronicities, and they kind of ramped up as of recently. So I was dating somebody, and it was crazy because so the guy that I have the synchronicities with, it's not the guy that I was like seeing. The guy that I had the synchronicities with just bought a house. And then so I'm seeing this one guy, and his house, like, guess who his neighbor is? So I already have like these synchronicities with this guy, and I'm already like, but I'm at that point where like that person's dating somebody. So I'm just kind of like, okay, obviously this isn't my person. Like, this isn't it. And then so I'm like going on a date with this one guy, and we kind of took an Uber, and they had dropped him off first. And he's like, yeah, somebody just bought that house right there.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. Like, oh my God, they're neighbors. So then I was kind of like, okay, like this is a whole thing. So I was like, okay, you know, I haven't seen this guy in 2 years. Like, we've communicated via text, but I haven't seen that guy in 2 years. So it's kind of just like, oh, and like I had told him, I was like, oh, actually, I know the guy who moved in there. And then so it was just like really weird. And then so I just kind of like threw that under, like, I just forgot about that. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, they're neighbors. And then so I hadn't seen this person in 2 years. So I'm seeing this one person. I'm talking to this one guy. I won't even say, I guess I literally was seeing him, but it's not like we were dating or anything. So I had him over to come hang out at my place. Like, we did like movie night. Went super well. Like, I really enjoyed my time with him, had a really fun night. And then the next morning, I wake up, we had like drank, so I was a little bit hungover, and I woke up, like, who wakes up from a hangover and is like, God, I really want a salad. I really want a salad from this place called, it's like here in Tampa, it's called Fruitwood Market. I was like, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, you know what, I really want a salad. And then I'm getting like, I took a shower because I had a headache, so I'm just like there with my like wet hair. And I was like, nobody's going to be at this salad place at 11 o'clock. So I was just like, and then like there was a voice inside my head that was like, put on some clothes. Like, you're going to want to look nice. And I was like, no, nobody's going to be there. And then so I roll up to this place, and I see the guy. I see not the guy that I was with, the neighbor, the one who I have the synchronicities with. I pull up and I see him there, and I was like, oh my God, no. Oh my God, I look terrible. I'm like, I haven't seen him in 2 years, and I just rolled out of bed.
No way.
I never go to this place either. Now I go like a lot because I love this salad. So like, it's an outdoor seating, and like, you know, on the video part, I'm doing kind of it's outdoor seating. So I go inside before he sees me, or before I think he sees me. So I go inside, I go into the bathroom and order my stuff because I was like, oh my God, I'm hiding in the bathroom. Like, I can't see this guy like this. And then I come out, and he's there just like standing. Like, he must have already seen me go in.
Oh my God.
So it's like a smirk, you know, and this is like, I think I had recently had to like remove him from all my stuff because, yeah, I think the girlfriend stuff, like, I was just like, you know what, I don't want to give energy to this anymore. So I had to remove him from all my platforms. I'm sure he knew I'd blocked him. But then we ran into each other. We were talking there, and I was just kind of like laughing. I'm like, God, what is it with this guy? Now I go like out with this guy. I didn't keep talking to that guy, but I went out with another guy and had like a really fun night. And then the next day I go to the same Fruitwood Market, like the same place to get a salad, see this guy again. This was like 3 months later.
What? Oh my God.
Like, and then it got even weirder. And this is like where it ends. So I saw him again, but we had already talked between, because he had gotten like, I had offered him to get like a bed for my house. Mind you, he has a girlfriend. Like, So for me, it's just like, at this point, we're friends. We've known each other forever, but I've always had that, like, those weird interactions where it's like really synchronistic. So then I see him at the market, and then so there have fortune cookies there, and I have this belief with fortune cookies that you give some, if we give each other, like if we switch fortune cookies, then I'm essentially giving you the fortune, you're giving me my fortune. And I think there was a really big significance to this. So I was like, okay, well, I told him that. I'm like, you have to open this. We have to switch now. Like, I'm giving this to you, but now you have to give it back to me, and I'm going to give you mine, so that, you know, we're giving each other a fortune. So he's like, okay. So then we crack open the fortune, and I kind of, mine had said, you will be in a new relationship, or you are starting a new relationship you're starting a new relationship or something, enjoy. Something like that, along those lines. And then I didn't read it out loud because I was like, okay. And then so he read his out loud. He goes, oh, weird. It says within the next month, you'll be in a new relationship. So we literally got the same fortune.
Oh my God.
His just said within a month, and mine said, like, you know, you're entering into a new relationship. And so I kind of was like,
When was
I said out loud,
this?
this was like right before COVID hit. Right before, I had just gone to Colombia. So it was like early first week of March, end of February, first week of March. So it was kind of one of those things where when he read that out loud, I kind of just was like, wait, mine says the same thing. And I had that moment where, like, I just kind of played it off because I'm like, I'm pretty sure he has a girlfriend, so I'm not going to be like, isn't that weird that we just got the same fortune? But he kind of, I wonder if he thinks that too. And he's like, okay, these are some weird synchronicities, or if he experiences weird synchronicities with me type of situation, you know? Because I have like plenty more where that comes from, but for me, that was a big one. But I chose to look at it as like, because we gifted each other that fortune, we like released each other.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I think we released each other in that moment, because I really don't talk to him anymore, really have no desire to talk to him. Hope he's happy in his relationship. You know, no ill will, but like, it's time for me to kind of move on. And I think that was like so powerful. We released each other. If we wouldn't have switched those fortunes, it wouldn't have the same meaning of like, I'm allowing you to go be in another connection, and you're allowing me to be released, you know?
Yeah.
So it was literally the same fortune. So it was kind of interesting. We were like allowing each other, or the universe, whoever was plotting to put the same fortune there.
Yeah. Which is so funny because like maybe that's what you needed to kind of like release this idea that he was your twin flame, because like maybe there's somebody else, like you needed that experience. So
Yeah. Well, I had kind of done work around that when obviously he let me know that he was seeing somebody. I kind of let go of that. But it was still like, okay, now I'm dating a guy who's his neighbor. Are you kidding me?
right.
So,
And that must be really confusing. Like, what do you think about that? There's probably a lot of people who, you know, watch your channel and stuff around like, maybe how you always say, or maybe someone commented that like, if he's married, he's not your twin flame kind of thing.
yeah, this is my thing. I think he has some kind of significance in my life. Maybe I don't know it yet. Maybe I don't know what it is yet, but I kind of had this realization. I was like, I need to stop forcing it to be romantic. Like maybe his significance in my life isn't anything to do with romance.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway for sure.
But I had like a weird, and this is just getting into kind of weird synchronicities. I had like I don't know if I told you this story, but I taught my Hungarian friend how to read cards in college, because I'm like, She's got gypsy in her blood. She's going to be good at reading cards. The first time she laid down cards for me, this was in college. I didn't communicate with him, really. We talked on and off. We were still just friends. So she had said to me, she's like, you're going to cheat on your husband with somebody from your childhood, a childhood friend. And I was just kind of like, what? Who's my what childhood friend? Like, what? And then that's when Instagram was first a thing. And I think I had first created like an Instagram account. And then after she gave me that reading, I looked at my phone and he had followed me on Instagram. I was like, oh my God, that's so weird that a childhood friend just followed me.
Yeah.
And then I had like, that was like, I want to say my junior year in my junior year in college. So then by the time I graduated, we'd talk on and off. And I went to this palm reader in New York City, because I love to just go, I'm like, let's go day drinking. Let's go get some mimosas and then go find some palm reader and get our palms read. Like, I love doing that.
Yeah, I love that.
So I went to this palm reader and she predicted a lot of stuff that actually happened. It was a great reading. But then at the end, she kind of looked, she goes, there's somebody in your life who you talk to on and off a lot. It's a weird connection. I said, yeah. And she goes, that person will be in your life forever. And then she kind of looked at me and she goes, but I don't think that's your husband.
Oh my gosh.
So I was just like, oh, okay.
Interesting. So she said the same thing essentially.
So I guess like I'm going to be an adulterer. I doubt that.
God.
I doubt that. But the way I interpret it is I think that person is in my life for another reason. I just don't know what it is. And I'm not going to try and figure out what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have so much synchronicities. I would love to sit down with him one day and be like, hey, like, have you had weird synchronicities around me?
Yeah.
You know, because do you think like they do too?
I mean, well, this is the thing too. I think you have to be very, like, you have to be tapped in to even see them and notice them.
Yeah.
And I think women are more receptive.
I think this guy's tapped in. I know he probably like, because I think that's why he probably held on for so long, or like keeps connecting with me a lot, or trying to connect, because I think he feels that weird synchronicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, but then there's this, so then like, just to add, I don't want to even like go on a tangent, but these are like interesting and I'll share them with you so that maybe you can help me dissect them. So then there's another guy who I met, or who at this time I hadn't met, has the same birthday as this guy. They have the same birthday, him and this.
Is it a Taurus?
Yeah.
Of course.
Anybody who listens to this is going to be like, wow, this girl's obsessed with me. Like, if they're listening to this, though, you're obsessed with me. You're listening to this in secret. Just remember that, okay? So before you go getting a big head about this. Anyways, so this other guy who, another crazy synchronicities. I had seen him, I won't say where because then that'll give away who this is. I had seen him, and then like for the first time ever, somewhere very close to where I wake up and go to bed every night. I live in an apartment complex. So I had seen this guy and I was like, oh my God, this guy's so cute. And then I'd never seen him before. I was like, who is that? And then I went out to a bar that night, like to happy hour. It was a Friday. And I see this guy at the bar. And I'm just like, okay, seen this guy twice now. That's the guy that I saw earlier. So I had kind of developed like this little intrigue with this guy, and like wanted to, you know, get to know him, chat with him, figure out who he is. And like now we're friends and there's really nothing there. But he has the same birthday as that one guy. And I had this moment one time where I was like, you know, upset over a guy, and I'm like, oh my God, like I was out on a walk, walking down some random back end street, and I was like, God, if my soulmate's out there, like, can you just give me a sign? And this guy rides his bike right by me, and I was like, oh my God. Like, okay, I see it. I see the sign.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I had that. And now that we're friends, it's like, oh my gosh, he has the same birthday as this other guy. The other guy I have synchronicities with. I don't know. It's wild. But like I said, I think I call it in.
Yeah.
I think I call in the synchronicities because I think I just love to give myself clues.
Yeah, I love it. So maybe we can just like intend that we want more synchronicity and serendipity in our love life. I think we can.
Yeah. Because like even with my manifesting my new person, I keep doing the visualization. I'm like big on the visualizing. I'm big on like, and it's like I think a lifetime's worth of just daydreaming. I'm so good at visualizing. And so I have this visualization of meeting the person that I'm gonna meet, and it's like just like that first sight thing, you know. And that's kind of would be interesting to talk about, that love at first sight. Like, do you believe in love at first sight? Well, I'm manifesting that for myself. Like, I want it to be this moment in which it's like eyes locked. Oh, this is who it is.
Just like hearing you say that makes me feel like, yes, like I want that.
Yeah, right? I'm like, wow. Yeah. Like I visualize it, and I'm actively manifesting it to where I know the moment that it happens, it's going to be like, oh, this is it. This is what I've been manifesting.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that.
And it's going to be that recognition. Like even in my daydreams, I'm like, I see the recognition in his eyes. Like he's going to look up and be like, it's her. But it's fun when you can like kind of curate life like that, right?
Yeah. And then I think that's the serendipity part, is like doing all those visualizations and having those feelings, and then the uncertainty of like you never know when it's going to happen, and then it's kind of like that's like the thrill or the excitement of it,
and having fun because I could be hung up on the fact that like, oh my God, but I have so many synchronicities with these other guys, and it's like, you know, I think all will be revealed in the right time. And it's kind of how that movie is. It's like he chased and chased and chased after that book. He tried finding
Isn't it something like 10 years? It was like
10 years.
Yeah.
And that's like another thing. It's like the people that I've reconnected with after years of not seeing them, that's why I keep things in perspective. It's like I've gone like 5 or 10 years without seeing somebody, and then I reconnect with them and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd see you again, let alone like have this romantic connection, you know? Like even there was this guy in high school that I had a crush on. He was from Australia, and I just remember having a crush on him. I wasn't like cool or anything. So I was a little bit invisible at that time. But I think like 5 years or 6 years, like I ran it, like we ended up at a party together over one summer and hit it off then. And I would have never expected that. Yeah. Never expected to reconnect with that person.
Interesting. So you've experienced that a lot then, hey? Like that kind of like reconnecting with men from the past.
Yeah. Yeah, or it's like, it's not even, I don't even want to say reconnecting, because that one was like, I just was like, oh, that guy's cute. I never really thought about it. And then like 6 years later, it's like the same scenario, but this time it's like, you know, that was a little fling, a little summer fling.
Yeah.
And even like the guy, the one who's like, I've known since we were 5 years old, he was my first crush ever. My first crush ever, that sometimes I'm like, and that's something we have to kind of get into, is sometimes I have this moment where I'm like, God, if my 5-year-old me can see me now, he's sending me all this stuff.
Oh my God, I love
He's
it.
texting me. My 5-year-old self would be, you know, loving this. So it's kind of that there was something I saw on Instagram that was like that. It was the multi-dimensional, like everything's happening at the same time. It's like that Interstellar, right? Anybody who's seen the movie Interstellar, where it's like Matthew McConaughey I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but Matthew McConaughey basically gets into that dimension, the fifth dimension, right? Which is, 5D. Everything's happening on 5D, free of time. So it's like these dimensions, our future, our past selves, there is no future, there is no past. It's all happening right now. So when we go visit a memory, like when we have memories and we're reliving these memories, we're sending energy to that version of ourselves.
Which is why you can go back and do like inner child work or past work and actually recreate the future, like recreate
the future. And it's like, I've had so many instances, these synchronicities, where I could be the one sending myself the signs.
Right.
You know, because think about, like, I had this one experience where I basically found a guy at, like the guy I was dating at the time showed up to the restaurant I was at that we had eaten at 2 nights before with another girl. And I knew when I was in the car, I had this feeling. I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, what would I do if I saw him there with another girl? And then I kind of heard that thought and I was like, wait, that would never happen. And then it happened. And I remember thinking, I thought that, but it's because I relived that memory so many times that I have like sent energetic moments to myself being like, yeah, this night's gonna get a little wild. Like, raise yourself. So anytime we're getting those gut feelings, they could be from us, from future us.
I love that. I think that's really cool.
So it's like me envisioning this meeting that I'm gonna have with my new mans. I'm already creating that in the future.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm creating that in the future by even just, you know, telling the me right now that it's gonna happen. It's kind of confusing, right?
It's kind of confusing, but like,
well, it's like you want to take time to process it, to be like, yeah,
you can actually give your future self these, like, implant these memories as if they already exist, and then they will, like, in the future they will just be memories.
Yeah, they will just be memories. So and there's like this theme, it's like I'm already in the future, like, or what's the thing? There's so many concepts here that are they're so potent when you can like sit and process them. But basically, like, what I'm doing right now is already in the past. So I've already, like, in this moment, the moment that just passed is already in the past. So I'm constantly creating my future. Like, I'm constantly creating the future in this moment. So yeah, we're just creating a memory in this moment for our future selves. But there is no future self. Are you guys following? Sometimes I have to pause. Like, you probably have to pause this and be like, wait. Because I've had so many moments where I'm like, I hear, and the way I describe it, I'm like, I hear my own voice. Like, I've had some significant moments that I call epiphanies where I'm like, I just heard my own voice loud and clear that told me to do something. And I was like, well, shit, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but in that present moment, I relive that. Like, you know, I got made fun of a lot in high school, but I always had this, I would always tell myself, and literally I would tell myself, I'd be like, I'd have this confidence of being like, you're going to be something. You're going to be don't worry about this. Like, you're going to be a professional golfer. You're going to be this. You're going to be that. Like, just don't worry about this. And that's kind of like, and I call it my ego. Like, I'm like, my ego got me through high school. But now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it wasn't my ego. It was my future self telling me, like, don't worry, girl. Don't worry, girl. I got you. You'll be fine. But it's like that whole concept of there is no future. So it's me constantly healing myself. So it's like healing those inner child issues. You can go talk to that little girl and be like, hey, like, you know, you'll be fine. You're fine here. You're safe.
And then like creating your future self with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Which is essentially like, that's essentially like the first session I do with every client, or like in circles that I'll do, is always around introducing women to their higher self and like this ideal version of themselves, and seeing what they look like, and seeing what their house is like, and how they wake up, and what their room is like, and what their routine is like, and all this stuff. And I think that is like, again, it's kind of, it's interesting how it connects like science and this like multidimensional perspective, because it's like, from one perspective, we're just programming our subconscious to create that. And then from another perspective, it's like, we're creating it in the future. Like, it's so
well, it's
interesting.
like a domino effect. But like when we did that work, because you did that with me when I did my first session with you, and when we were kind of doing the book writing, and you were like, okay, what are you saying to, like, you're at your first book reading, like, what are you saying to people? And I think that was so powerful, because I did feel that energy, but essentially I was creating the future in that moment. Like, and if I wanted to really power energy to that moment, I could create that. And that's the whole concept of manifesting, right?
Yeah.
Is like, we're powering. So it's like, if I think a lot about the past, I'm sending energy to the past. If I'm thinking about the future, I'm fueling myself to move towards that. If I'm thinking about that's why it's so like important to be in the present moment, because, you know, if I'm too much thinking about the past, I'm not present in my current state. You know, I'm living in that past moment, which it's like energetically, I'm giving energy to my past self, which it's all that ripple effect. Because if I'm not giving energy to that past self, then, you know, I wouldn't have had those moments in which I was like, ooh, something feels off. Something's off here. And it's so interesting to think about our romantic relationships, how we kind of know. That's all manifesting is. It's like providing energy to that future self, like creating the future.
Yeah.
And like just realizing time doesn't exist. I have this theory about like my lifetime. Like, I'm like, this is something that just fascinates me. I was telling my mom the other day, I was like, I think in my lifetime I'll learn how to time travel. But I don't think time travel is what we think it is. I think it's like, I think that you have to break down the construct of time before you can time travel.
And that's been like coming up in your dream stuff recently.
Yeah, like multi-dimensional stuff. I just think that's like a big purpose of mine in life. I was like, I think I'm gonna do something bigger than I think I'm gonna do. And that's been like the latest feeling coming up. So my future self must be like, yeah, girl, you're gonna create time travel.
I love that you're bringing this up, because it's like, yeah, we have this idea of what time travel is, but what if it's like not actually that at all? And it's just about the way we look at time, which, and it's like, of course, it's just about shifting our perspective.
But did you see that movie Arrival?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch that
Arrival.
movie.
Okay.
Arrival, it's like an alien type of movie, but the aliens come down and they like, everybody has to watch this movie if they want to understand this concept we're talking about. I like how we went from serendipity to now we're talking about like
aliens, of course.
Not aliens, but like time travel.
Oh yeah.
So the aliens come down, they leave like this they're not aliens like you'd think they'd be. So like the whole world is like, we can't communicate with them. We think that we're in danger. But then this linguistics lady, like who studies language, she comes in and she starts learning how to, she's like the best in the world. It's Amy Adams, right? That's her name.
Not sure.
So she's learning how to communicate with these alien languages. And it's so interesting because I'm so fascinated by language in general and how it kind of changes your brain chemistry to kind of learn. And that's what they talk about, is like as she goes learning the language, her brain chemistry changes. He's like, the aliens were like, we don't want to, they basically figured out they don't want to bring, they want to give them a weapon. They want to give a weapon. That's what they communicated. That's how we interpret it. They got scared, but then she was getting more information and she was like, we want to give you not a weapon, but a way to help you. And essentially their language itself was, because like, remember, language is human construct too. Language doesn't really, it's another, it allows us to communicate, but it also is kind of something that limits us, right?
Totally, yeah.
Limits us from fully connecting. So that's, I just find language so fascinating. Language, words, the use of like communicating energetically via words. So the aliens, their language basically was, the language was the weapon, because they have no concept of time. So as she starts learning the language, she starts essentially being able to kind of do what we're talking about now, which is travel, like time travel,
word.
but she's able to, because she starts like, you know, they say when you start learning a new language, you'll start dreaming in that language. So she starts dreaming in the language, or she starts having these feelings of like deja vu or seeing the future. And she finally realizes at the end that she can kind of hop in and out, because she can hop in and out of consciousness of herself because of the different different time frames, because time doesn't exist. So you have to watch the movie. Like,
I'm gonna watch it.
You have to, because I can't explain it.
Well, everything that you're, again, like weaving this all into the magic stuff, and like your word is your wand, and casting spells through the words that we say, and how you're talking about like changing the brain chemistry, because I'm thinking about like chanting or mantras or like anything to do with language. Is what it's like it's like the spiritual technology that changes your brain, and you're able to like see things differently. Like I haven't done it a ton recently, but there was a year or so where I was using a mala, like mala beads, like quite a lot for prayer. I would like make malas, and I teach workshops for like women how to make malas and everything. And it's so hard to explain to people how using a mala and saying that mantra like 108 times as your fingers run over the beads, like what it actually does to you until you've experienced it. But it is like this spiritual technology that actually like shifts something within you, so you're able to see things differently. So weaving that back with the time travel stuff and the language thing, it's like I can see how maybe it's just us being able to see time travel differently.
It's all interconnected. I'm such a language and like communications enthusiast that it's like there's so much more behind the surface. And that's why I think, you know, as a writer, as like when you're writing, it's magic. I do believe that. And I think that's where we connect, like on a deep level, is like your words are literally magic. Like you are putting if you can back yourself, but at the same token, like seeing a painting, that's a form of communicating. If you're tapped into that's a language. Like seeing a painting, seeing how somebody's communicated through color, through art, that's language. When I see, like when I go to, and that's like kind of my obsession with Paris. It's like when I go to Paris and I see the architecture, I'm like, this city is speaking to me. It's communicating to me because of the energy that went into this. And it's like we've stripped things down to words, and like words can be so powerful, or they can be so stripped and meaningless, you know? And that's that's why, like, I think it's so powerful to really put intention behind what you're communicating. And when you do, like, don't ever just mindlessly like speak, you know, like speak with intention. And knowing, like, being bilingual, I feel like I'm fascinated with like different languages in general, different cultures, and how, like, you know, in English we say I love you, like I love you, but in Spanish it's like te amo, like there's so much passion behind it. And it's like the different, the same words, the same meaning, but different, like different energy behind it, you know?
Yeah.
Or there's some like sentences in different languages that are just, and anybody who follows me on Instagram knows I share like these little words that I just feel are so, they're one word, but they mean like something super, like serendipity. Like, I think serendipity is a beautiful word. Or synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. Like, I think that, I don't know, I just find it fascinating. I find the world fascinating. I find all these topics fascinating. And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think eventually in our lifetime we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's like, I think I've decided that's my goal. And I have a lot of dreams in regards to like parallel universes, and kind of how I feel like I do a lot of astral travel, which we'll have to do an episode on, and kind of really fascinated with the parallel universe. So here's a synchronicity. Anybody who knows me, anybody who follows my YouTube knows my YouTube name, Little Girl Lost. So there's actually a Twilight Zone episode that I found. It's called Little Girl Lost.
Oh my God.
And it's about a girl who's stuck in a parallel dimension.
No way.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I see the message. And it's like,
wow.
Why is that just presenting itself to me now?
And you've been that's kind of like the dreams
That's
that you've
always
been having.
and that's always been my pseudonym, is Little Girl Lost.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you brought up like the painting and the art stuff. I was actually speaking of like dating, I was seeing this painter for a while.
Yeah.
And he was like describing like how powerful it is to be a painter, and like the meaning behind it, and how similar to how we use words, like you're literally like putting your energy through the paintbrush onto the canvas, and it's like you're creating this almost like permanent expression of your energy. So then you can look at these paintings that were painted whatever 400 or 500 years ago, and that person's energy is still in existence. Like you can touch the things that they touched, and it's like being so,
it's immortalizing yourself.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like a big thing so I wear my ankh, which is like life after life, like everlasting life type of thing.
Is that
like
what it symbolizes?
Symbol. It symbolizes, for me, it's like life after life after life after life. So for me, it's like a symbol of immortality. Like it's like the key of life, but that's kind of what I wear it for. So I've always loved this symbol, but my message to myself has always been, like, since I was young, I was like, I want to do something in my lifetime that makes me immortal.
Oh, I love that.
I want to imprint something in my lifetime and so that's why I've had this ring on for like 10 years. I've been like, I need to get a tattoo, but I haven't gotten this one tattooed yet. I've always said I have to do something that makes me immortal, and then I'll get the tattoo.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like those paintings. That's what they did. They immortalized themselves. Whoever the architects were for like the like those buildings, these monumental buildings that are like cemented in history, they immortalized themselves.
Yeah.
Via that work, you know?
Yeah.
Authors, like,
about like authors and writing. Like Phil Good said something about this the other day about like, you know, imagine like this book that you want to write, or like anything that you're putting into form with words, it's like that's going into like the Akashic records.
Yeah.
And it's like that's going to become part of the collective consciousness. And like when I heard that, I was like, whoa, like that's a really cool concept.
Yeah, that is a cool concept. I'll have to go watch that vid. But yeah, I think it's just so interesting. I feel like we've strayed so much from the topic of like love
And serendipity, but it's
and
all
serendipity,
connected.
but it's all connected. So it's like, if you want that serendipity, if you want that feeling, like you can create it.
Like you just have to
create
decide that that's what you want.
And like have fun with it. Every time I get a synchronicity, I just say thank you. I'm like, thank you. Ooh, thank you.
And I think the more that you tell yourself how psychic you are, and if the people, because it's funny, like the men that I do have the most synchronicity with, they're super tapped in and psychic. And the more that I kind of like affirm that and like say that out loud, and then also like it's like if the person like calls me like a couple minutes after I like something comes up and like they pop into my mind and then they immediately like respond with the phone call, like I'm always like I let them know like right away, you know? And I think that kind of tells your subconscious or the universe or whatever, just like, yeah, more of that. Like, I like this. This is fun.
Totally. So that's even funny because I remember the one who lives here and has the birthday of the other guy, the one that I thought was my twin flame for a while. And then this other guy who I have synchronicities with who has that same birthday. So we were hanging out one time and like I had another ring on, but I always have this ring on. And we were hanging out and he was like, oh my God. And he pulled out his chain and he had the Ankh on it. And he's like, it's my favorite symbol. So I was like, oh my God, like synchronicity. But the way I look at it, it's like follow the white rabbit, like a little Alice in Wonderland thing. Like follow the synchronicities, like follow the yellow brick road. Like the synchronicities will eventually lead somewhere.
Yeah.
There's some significance in it. Maybe I'm not meant to know now. Maybe I'll know in 10 years what that synchronicity is. Maybe that was just me reflecting to myself, like your immortality's coming. You're like, you're immortal, like your thing that's going to make you whatever you're looking for.
You're on the right path.
You're on the right path. It's just telling me you're on the right path. It doesn't mean that's my soulmate.
Yeah. And I think the whole element of just time and time travel is also talking about all this love and serendipity stuff is like not just remembering you don't have to rush anything and that like you will join up with this person when you're ready to and when they're ready to and like when it's actually aligned for you to like expand together.
Yeah, exactly. And not rushing the process, enjoying the journey. So I feel like that's where we can like wrap things up, is just reminding like have fun. Like you came down here to experience life. That's what I really think. It's like you can create the life you want. And I feel like I'm so glad this got into that deep subject, because if you can really process what we've said today, you know that you can tap in and kind of change your reality. You can change the past. You can change the future. You can create the future. You can change the past. And then by the time you get into the future, you can change this moment right now. I don't know. You have the power. So it's like, if you want to create something in your life, and that's why I think doing the inner child, like inner healing the inner child is so important, because that creates so many shifts, because you don't even realize that in that moment that you're doing that work, you're sitting there with that child version of yourself saying like, hey girl, like you're fine, you're safe, like this isn't what you think it is.
I just had like a major breakthrough in this moment. And even just like, yeah, all that inner child stuff, but maybe it's just like your past relationship. Like maybe it's just going back to that past relationship and like reprogramming it. Yeah.
We have the power. So yeah, this has been an awesome episode. We definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. If you're into it, if it's too complex, definitely watch all those movies: Interstellar, Arrival, Serendipity. And yeah, just kind of have fun with it. Have fun with you guys this week. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next time. Remember to comment, remember to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Modern Life Mystic Woman, and yeah, let us know what you guys want to hear. So yeah, we'll see you next time.
Hey.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow us over on Instagram at Modern Life Mystic Woman, where we're sharing inspirational writing and magical lifestyle tips on the daily.
And if you loved this show, let us know. Subscribe, comment, shoot us a DM, whatever your style, and make sure to share it with all your spiritual besties.
See you next time.